I'm frozen for myself too. What in the world?
Oh, wait, now it's not.
Okay. All right.
It's
Hey,
working.
it's so cool to actually talk to you in person.
I know.
Yeah, I always get so nervous to do these things. Hi guys, there's a couple of people there.
There
So,
are, see, I can't see like the chat at
oh,
all.
I can't see the chat either. Hold on.
Maybe if I click
Uh, shoot.
live chat. We're working on it, guys. I don't know who's here, but thanks for being here.
Um, it's supposed to just come up. Usually it just comes up on the bottom.
Yeah, that's
There's
what
really nothing that is giving me an option. Like I press save, highlight. There is no option other than chat viewing options, top chat, live chat,
yeah,
none. Hide
but
all chat messages.
when I clicked on that, it didn't show me anything. But
I hope it's not the way I have it set up. Because there's no way that you would be able to do a live without a chat, right?
no, we'd have to have that.
Okay, if there's 3 of you guys there, maybe should we try and do this again? Like start over? Maybe I had like it set up wrong because we can't have.
You think if we turn it, because it says, like, I tried clicking on live chat, but it's just not. This doesn't make sense, right?
Mine just says chat viewing options. No, I don't.
Yeah, that's the
The
same.
orientation is locked too. Okay,
Okay. Sorry, guys.
so there's 4 of you guys there, and I can't see the chat box for some reason, and neither can Jess. So I think, what do you think, Jess? I should just close this and start over, right?
I guess so, but I'm just wondering if it's going to be the same problem.
It has to be the way. Do you have Google? Do you have Google? I'll check on my laptop right now.
Oh, and like be on your laptop?
No, how to. Oh, actually, maybe I can. I'm gonna check myself.
Oh, wait, it's popped up on the screen. My friend
Oh,
Keith.
okay. That's the extent of my tech knowledge.
So
Right
maybe
on.
it'll just pop
Okay.
up.
So do you see the chat as well?
I don't see anything now, but it like popped up and then
It
it
did come
faded
up. Okay.
away.
Okay, so the chat is working. If you guys chat, we will see it briefly if you have any questions or anything.
I'll just, if so, you didn't see it, right?
No, I did. I did. I
You
saw
did.
it
Okay.
came on the screen like for like a second.
Thank you, Keith. You have saved the chat.
Yeah, thank you.
Saved the live stream.
Yeah.
So, what should we do? Should we see if there's any questions?
Yeah, if
Or
anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box at any time. But Jess and I both have bipolar disorder. We met through YouTube. She has a channel called Our Bipolar. Hi, Lynn.
Island?
Um, it's so cool to be able to interact with people from across the world, don't you think?
I love it. I love
Yeah.
just, and also meeting other people with bipolar. I don't know about you, but I haven't met many people who have bipolar like in real life. So just like having social media, having YouTube, and getting to talk to other people, and just, obviously people who don't have bipolar like so appreciate that they come to our channels and
Yeah.
they want to learn about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I saw one of your shorts recently about seasons changing and starting to feel hypomanic.
Yes.
Um, so I was going to ask about that, but first, hi, Liverpool.
From Liverpool. That's so neat.
Yeah. Um, so, uh, so
Yeah.
I live in California, right? And I'm in Long Beach. So there's really no such thing as seasons here.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
we
Well,
had a winter this last winter, but it was like the first winter in 5 years, and it didn't get cold. It just rained, which it hadn't done in like 5 years. So I don't know that I experienced that. For me, it's usually has so much to do with like my weight. When I
Oh,
start
really?
losing when I start losing a lot of weight and I start getting thin, I start having more energy and I start getting a quicker, thought process.
That makes sense. I guess for me, the seasons changing, it's not just the seasons changing. It's more so like the time of year, like getting ready for September and people are going back to school. And obviously, I'm not in school anymore, but I still have those feelings. Like, I get those feelings of anxiety when September comes, which I know doesn't make any sense, but that's just how it is for me. And also, my very first manic episode started in September. I mean, this was like 24 years ago, but ever since then, there's something. I think that it's true that like you can have these like patterns, like these brain patterns where you like if you had mania, like I get mania in September. Not every year, but if I'm going to get mania, like even if I'm being super super careful, that is the time of year where I'll get it. So or hypomania, you know. So I have to be really careful and it's hard because now, I have a daughter, so she's going back to school and I have to get her ready and that like it's just there's lots of stuff happening. My husband is also a school teacher, so he's going back. So I don't know
Yeah.
why, but like and the change from summer to fall also does affect me. Um I love summer. Like, I love hot weather, and, like, going into fall, you would think it would be, like, maybe I would start to get depressed, but I don't. It's like that change is like I just can't handle it somehow, and I start to get, hypomanic usually.
Yeah, well, there is something called seasonal affective disorder, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people with bipolar disorder do experience that because when it's like areas where it rains all the time, where it's dark like a large portion of the year, and like I don't know, maybe there's something like we're more heavily reliant on vitamin D than
I
other.
think that's part of it. I mean, I know I take vitamin D because I was deficient, but I just don't do well with seasonal changes anyway. Like, and you being in California, like, wouldn't really experience this because nothing's really changing. But for me, I just always feel really unsettled, like, especially in spring and fall, because I feel like those aren't real seasons in my mind. They're like transitions to summer and winter. So, so I like summer and winter the best. Michael says, I'm ready for this winter. Just bought a therapy light. Oh, yeah, those can be good, but you have to be careful if you have bipolar. Those therapy lights can sometimes bring on mania.
I don't know anything about that.
I just know because I had one and it didn't bring on mania. I didn't use it enough, but I have, migraines and it did bring on migraines.
What
So,
so what is it though? What is a therapy light? It's just some kind of light that you buy that.
oh yeah, it's just like a light, like it's called like a light box usually, and it's like simulating sunlight.
Oh.
So like all of us folks who have like these dreary winters, it can be good for people, but you do have to be careful of if you're bipolar.
I've never heard of that. I've heard of a weighted blanket and that being really comforting for people. Have you ever tried that?
My daughter uses one sometimes. I don't actually use one, but it might not be a bad idea.
I've never tried one, but I'm like super claustrophobic. So,
Oh,
um,
that might not because it makes you feel kind of trapped. Like, I mean, it
yeah,
truly is heavy,
yeah,
but
I would imagine.
yeah. Well,
It's so good to talk to you. It's so nice to talk, like, because like you were saying, I don't know, other than the online community, I
yeah,
don't have a lot of like, I don't have any bipolar friends. Like, there's people like I'm always try end up somehow in a position where I'm trying to help someone like I am in my building right now, but I don't
yeah.
think she's bipolar. I think her main issue is drugs, but
Well, but you're still going out of your way and doing a lot for her, and that's why I was like, just be careful. Like,
yeah, oh no, it's totally yeah. You know what was triggering about it was talking to her family because I mean, you like your first experience, your dad is a psychologist, right? So he's familiar with everything, like,
Sort yeah, he's a therapist, so he's not like a medical doctor, but he's been doing therapy for people for like over 50 years. I mean, yeah, he knows a lot.
so he understands mental illness. My family is like doesn't, and so their reaction was very similar to Tiffany's aunt, where they're just done, don't want anything to do with her, don't understand mental illness, or like go get yourself some help and leave me alone type of thing. Um,
And it's sad because like the reactions to people who, you know, are addicted to drugs and the people who have mental illness, somehow it's all very similar and, for good reason, but also like what you're saying, like people are like not willing to kind of stick by them.
yeah, and I don't fault people for that. Some people, like, they just don't have the tools and they just can't, people have to take care of themselves. But it's a really sad situation. Like, it's like no win situation, like
Yeah. No, it's right.
either it has to be a choice for the person, and it's a horrible choice to make. Um, to
No, it is.
to
I
either continue to support someone or be like, I have to step away, it's that whole like loving someone from afar type thing.
right. And I've had to do oh, before I forget, I can see there's like 8 people on, but we can't see you because of this setup. So can you just like drop something in the chat and just say like where you're from or just something so we can see your names. But sorry, to get back to I've had to do that myself before. Like I had a friend a few years ago who actually it turned out that she has bipolar, but she was diagnosed late in life. I mean, she was like 40, I think. And her calling me in a manic episode and she was like, the things she was saying, it was just so familiar, like, in a heartbreaking way, and,
Yeah.
of course, I tried to help her and I talked to her, but at a certain point, I had to sort of for my own health, I had to, like, take a step back, you know? Hi, Crystal.
Hi, Crystal. Thank you guys for joining us. Um, it's really cool to be able to interact with you guys. And if you have any questions, just let us know. Um, but yeah, for somebody I could see, I don't know that I would be able to handle that.
It was
I would probably try, and my husband would tell me, no, you cannot, you can't. Like, he's very protective, and like my sleep is a trigger for him. Because, as you
oh,
know,
yeah,
sleep is, like, so important. So if I
right,
stay up till, like, midnight, and the next day he's like, "Why didn't you go to sleep earlier?" So
yeah. No, my
that's
husband
some
does that too, he's like, "What's is something going on? Like, why'd you stay up so late?" And I'm like, I mean, I try not to usually, but every once in a while I want to live a little,
yeah.
like just like feel like I have a normal life. But and with my friend, it was strange because when she first started talking to me and she was in this manic state, she wasn't diagnosed yet, and like this just started out of nowhere. And I kept thinking to myself, she sounds manic. Like what but is she truly bipolar? Like I don't know, I'm not a doctor and
Yeah.
it was um it was just like a strange place to be in. But she ended up, getting help and I don't know. I hope I haven't spoken to her that much lately, but hopefully she's doing
Oh, you
better.
still talk to her?
I still talk to her,
So
but
you
just
so you didn't cut her off completely.
no, no, no. I would never have done that. But I did have to like sort of distance myself a little bit because it was the exact same, it was the exact same disorder and it was hearing her, it was like a trigger for me. Um,
Yeah, for
and it was
sure.
starting to bring on, my own symptoms. So
Yeah.
That's the only reason I distanced myself, like, for no other reason, just for my health. That's it.
That's what happened with me and, Nikki, somebody who used to live in this building who I think she's now homeless. That's the last I heard.
Mm.
Um,
Lynn says, "I feel stable at the moment." That's great. I've been on Abilify for a few months. I've never taken that. I have a friend though who took it, but it was more. I guess it can also be used for just depression. I'm not sure.
yes, yes, at less than 15 milligrams.
Okay.
If you get down to 10 milligrams or lower, as far as I know, that it's added for depression. But 10 milligrams, it, according to my knowledge and according to my psychiatrist, 10 milligrams was not enough for somebody with bipolar one because
Oh,
somebody with bipolar one could go into mania. And so I believe that my psychiatrist thought I was bipolar too. He never, like, gave me an actual diagnosis. It was a horrible experience. Yeah, it's an antipsychotic.
that's what
So
I
I have
thought.
taken Abilify before. They started me on 10 milligrams when I was in jail. So I took it the first time I ever, like, had been told that I had, like, a mental no, that's not true because I had my misdiagnosis repeatedly when I was younger,
And
but,
you
like,
have like the most wild story, and like every time I think about it, even like my heart goes out to you because I'm just like I can't believe that the medical establishment. I mean, I've had my own troubles with being not misdiagnosed. Well, I was misdiagnosed with depression, but like I, just like your story about like the medications and everything is just like so
but
hard.
it's so yeah, it's getting better, but there's so many other people who've gone through, like, the same thing. I'm
Yeah.
sure been misdiagnosed over and over and over again, and actually, I know for a fact because when I pulled Reddit, because sometimes I'll pull the bipolar thread in Reddit, I'll ask questions, which is really helpful because then I know what people want to hear about. And I had asked, had anybody ever been misdiagnosed? And I think I did a video on it actually, and or maybe a live. I don't remember, but so many people had been misdiagnosed. People had been told. One person that was told by her school counselor that she was being dramatic and trying to get attention,
Oh God.
and yeah, like, just horrible, and she was suicidal. I mean, just horrible, horrible stories of people. So it's my story is pretty bad, but I think, what makes it so bad is that I'm so bullheaded and was so high functioning and so stubborn and so like I had smoked pot when I was younger, so I wasn't my decision making was so impaired, so I was apt to do drugs. And I think part of the problem was when you're in that state, the only people that are willing to talk to you or be around you are people that are also in that state or looking to take advantage of you. So I think
That's a good point.
and I think that's how so many of us end up using drugs, and then you have people who end up because like I didn't it's like my husband was saying this morning, he's like, it's really rare that people just stop doing drugs the way you did. Because when I was in psychosis, I used, but I had also used like as a teenager, like it was just such a mess, my life. But back to what we were talking about, Abilify.
Abilify.
Abilify has worked. It worked for me. My doctor changed it immediately. They gave it to me when they force medicated me in jail, and it was successful in pulling me out of psychosis, which is what Abilify is typically used for. Um, I don't know that the time that because for a year I was on 10 milligrams, and that was like the first time I ever like realized I needed to start taking medication. But I had a bad experience with it. And that's the thing, like so many drugs, so one drug will work amazing for someone and then horrible for someone else. So,
Definitely. Yeah.
so yeah, it's now I'm on Lamictal because my doctor said Abilify is not good for long term. And I actually got scared on Abilify because I started getting muscle twitches, because a lot of antipsychotics have the side effect of tardive dyskinesia, which is like muscle spasms or where your muscles will freeze. And they
Yeah.
even prescribe a medication now to avoid that with, at least I've seen commercials
I've
for
seen
it.
commercials too, yeah. I get some twitches see, this is why I'm always, like, a little hesitant to say what I'm on because I know what works for me is maybe
Yeah,
horrible for you, but I do, like, try to give that caveat, but, yeah, I take lithium and I do get muscle twitches, but it's not very often, you know? It's not like I have tardive dysk what is it?
tardive
Dyskinesia?
dyskinesia.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very minimal, and at the time, the pills were doing nothing for me. I was still in a severe depression and pretty much suicidal. And then my psychiatrist died during a routine stress test.
Oh,
So I
wow.
I tried to get another psychiatrist, and she actually put me on lithium, and, it scared me because of the blood testing.
Yeah. See, I've never even been close to having toxicity, lithium toxicity. Um, I take a really small dose, so like I'm always sort of at the low end of the like I used to show like it wasn't even therapeutic the lithium in the blood test, but it was for me, it was working for me. But I know for some people, yeah, that can be really scary, and I am at the point now where like I'm having to do more of the kidney function testing. I'm starting to get closer to someday not being able to take lithium. And I do think that I'll probably go on Lamictal. That's my guess. I mean, I don't know. But I've tried other things that truly like just made everything worse. So that's my guess that I'll try that eventually, but I'm hoping I'll stay on the lithium, like, as long as possible because it truly was almost like a miracle for me. I mean,
Yeah.
my life changed almost overnight.
Really? That fast?
Well, wasn't truly overnight, but it was, like, within 6 months, my life I mean, I went from, like, ultra rapid cycling to having, like, 1 or 2 episodes a year.
Do you still get, like, shame and embarrassment over going into hypomania or
Like, when I'm doing it or
be
just,
be
like, the fact
after,
that I
like, behaving, 'cause, like, okay, so, like, with bipolar, like, there's the whole, like, acceptance. I got kidney disease caused by Depakote, so I don't take lithium or anything else.
Yeah,
I think that would probably rule you out as a candidate for lithium.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but it's if Abilify is working for you and you feel stable, then yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I
that's
would
great.
everybody's different in terms the thing about doctors is what's so hard too. I wish with there was some kind of uniform process, like, if this doesn't work, go to this. If this doesn't work, go to
Right.
this, and it was the same for everyone, but it's not, and what makes it even more difficult is one doctor will have a bad experience with a patient on one drug and then never prescribe that drug again because it's such a horrible experience.
It's exactly right, and also, I didn't find this out until, like, a few years ago. There's people who have classical bipolar, and then there's or yeah, classical and then, like, atypical, and, like, I have classic bipolar, which just means like I have all the normal, like very everything's very typical about like when I go into mania, when I go into depression, like all those things. And I was initially just prescribed Depakote, which is for atypical. I didn't know this. It is actually originally is targeted for people with the atypical bipolar whose disorder is a little bit sort of out of the norm. And so like I should have never been prescribed Depakote because I have the classic type.
What's the difference between the norm and the classic? Or the yeah, the classic and the abnormal, like
The classic and like the atypical. I might be
yeah.
getting these terms a little wrong. Moss, hi,
Hi.
friend.
Thank you for joining the stream,
Thanks
you
for coming.
guys.
Um, I'm not I should I probably can't speak on this like really intelligently, but The differences are just that, gosh, I don't know if I can describe it. But you don't just necessarily have the really typical, like, your symptoms are not like the textbook symptoms. They might be like you have more mixed episodes instead of having just like mania followed by depression, that kind of like routine. Which is what I had, and I was prescribed something that was really not for people who have classic bipolar, or from what this is what I've read, and it makes no sense to me because why would I have been prescribed that? Just and that set off like 10 years of, you know, a med not working for me at all, exacerbating my symptoms and on and on. But
Yeah. Um, I just spaced. But I was gonna
no.
ask I was gonna oh, that's what I was gonna ask you. Did you have cause my like, obviously, like, looking back, I see where there were times where I had symptoms where I wasn't displaying them, but, like, in college, like, all I did was, like, party and drink and, like, but looking back, I do there were, like, minor depressive episodes in there or, like, periods of hypomania, but as far as mania, there were huge gaps in between my psychosis, like, from 28 to 38, that's no, it got they get guys, if you don't know, bipolar psychosis and manic episodes get closer and closer together as you get older. Did you know that, Jess?
Um well, I've heard that like your symptoms, your episodes can like progressively get worse, but I didn't know they got closer together.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, and I could be wrong, but that's what I've heard, and that's what I experienced, because I had one at 17, and then I didn't have one until 11 years later, and then and then the next one was 7 years later, and then 5 years later, and then 3 years later. So they got closer and closer together, but I still had that huge gap. Do you think
Oh,
like,
so you
why
had like a huge gap where you didn't have any symptoms, not just psychosis, but you didn't have
No,
any.
I mean, I'm sure I had other symptoms like hypomania and stuff like that,
Okay.
but in terms of full blown, I don't I definitely had depressive episodes and there was a very toxic relationship that I was involved in that brought out a lot of moments where looking back I'm like, okay, that was my bipolar. Like that wasn't,
Yeah.
you know what I
No,
mean?
yeah. I've
But
had like before I was diagnosed, I I think probably like pretty much my whole life I would have like depressive episodes, and then I was probably also having some sort of hypomania. I was not having mania, you know, because after my first manic episode, that's when I was diagnosed. So, and then, when I went to college, I had an extreme, I was extremely depressed. And that's when I was diagnosed with depression, which, was
yeah,
not necessarily accurate, but I thought that's what it was too, of course. But yeah, I didn't have, and then I had psychosis in that first episode, but I still don't know if it was like just because the episode was so bad or if because I had smoked weed. Like, I mean, in my whole life, I probably smoked weed like a handful of times, but probably like half of those times it caused psychosis. So I don't know if really would have happened if I hadn't done that.
that's a big question that that is still unanswered in the medical community, I think, because there's definitely marijuana induced psychosis, and my psychiatrist was saying it's more happening nowadays where people who don't have any mental illness start experiencing symptoms of psychosis from because the levels now that marijuana is legal in California, because the levels are so high, like you can buy
Oh,
vapes with like tons of THC in them. And I experienced psychosis like immediately after I took a puff of weed one day, but it was building up for a while. And I think
right.
I
So
might
there
have
was other,
yeah,
yeah.
I might have already been there, or but I was on the edge, and that this was when I was 16. I always say 17, but it really started when I was 16. Um, but yeah, I was at a friend's house. Somebody came over. This guy I'd never met before, but he looked exactly like her ex-boyfriend to me, but he wasn't her ex-boyfriend. So that was confusing to me before I even got high. So
So
that's how I know it was already there,
yeah.
because one of the delusions that I have is either everyone looks like someone famous or someone is someone that I really know and they just look a little bit different today. It's really
Oh,
weird.
and
It's
there
a
are so many people like that.
y-
Like in reality, there's, you know,
yeah,
like you've seen
and
someone who does look very similar to someone else, or
yeah.
so probably like messed with you even more.
Well, it was just like it just became part of my delusion. But where was I going with this? Was I
Oh, about
so yeah, so I took a puff of weed and like 5 minutes later I like immediately started crying afterwards. And I didn't know what had happened, but I went into something to do with my ex, and I was really confused about everything. And she's like, "Go lay down in my room." And this was my first like hallucination. And I don't know if you remember, I don't know, you're closer to my age group than than probably most of the viewers are, but there used to be this show called Sliders on TV, and it had what's his name? Jerry
anyone in the
McConnell.
chat. Do you know sliders? Because I've never heard of that, I don't think.
It was this really cool show that I loved, but basically there was a portal and they went to other universes, and they got stuck in a warp of and landing on parallel universes.
Oh god.
It was really cool, but they would see this giant like portal, and I saw that type of thing, like hallucination.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was horrifying. It was so scary. So scary. And even today, like the things that I've seen in Mania, like I still like wonder, like what do I really know about the universe? O'Connell, Jerry. So Keith knows. Well, you know
Keith
who
keeps
Jerry
saving
O'Connell.
us.
Yeah, yeah. I love that show. I'm hoping they make a remake of it one day. Um,
I
but
can
yeah,
yeah, I wish I had seen it. I don't even remember that, but I was so weird when I was a kid, or I I would go for like really long periods where I wouldn't watch any TV, like just I don't know, just didn't.
as
And
a
then
kid,
yeah.
and you could watch TV,
Yeah.
and you just chose not to.
Yes, I was very like I would like just read and then I would like flip and just watch TV.
Oh, because you like to read, that's why.
Well,
I
I like to
never
read, but I would like reread a lot of the same books and like I don't know. I There's no explaining it, but but it was
Yeah,
probably like a period when I didn't watch TV
yeah.
and I just missed it. I don't
Yeah,
I feel like, I may not have had bipolar symptoms my whole life. I don't, some people say that. I don't feel that way. I did, like I said, I had depressive episodes for sure. But the mania didn't start until I was 19. And it was very distinctly like, this is a manic episode. This is something you have never experienced before, kind of thing. And then, yeah, just went on from there. Moss says the line between supernatural and real and psychosis can be, I think it said hard to tell. Yeah.
I completely agree with you, Moss. I
So
completely agree
true.
with you. I really wonder, like, a lot, and I know it's outrageous, and I know it's probably not true, obviously not true. Like, it's crazy to say, but I really wonder, like, is there any truth to any of this? Like some of the weird,
I
not
know.
the really outlandish stuff, but
But we were talking before about like things that still kind of, I don't know. You asked me once, like, do you still have any delusions that are still kind of come up or like you still
yeah,
believe?
yeah.
And I said, "No." And then I was like, "Well, wait. Like when I go into my bathroom, I'm always like thinking there's a ghost or something like in the shower or whatever I said, like that I'm always sort of like, but then I'm like,
I
well, maybe
used to,
that's
be,
real, you know?" Like,
yeah.
Hi, Nancy, and
Hi,
then
Nancy.
gave up TV at age 12. Yeah. Well, Moss, you're like way ahead of the game. I mean, we, we know that. But yeah. Yeah, I
It's
should have just stopped completely.
it's strange how your delusions manifest into, like, the supernatural, like the devil and, like, the dead.
Like scary things. It's never
Yeah,
anything like fun and exciting. It's like, yeah, it's like stuff like that. It's like I thought I had X-ray vision. It's like demons, devil. It's like what the I don't know if that's like I was brought up Catholic and I wonder if that was like some kind of influence like guilt and also um talking about like the good and bad, like things that are evil. I don't know.
yeah, because everything is, like, influenced from somewhere, and a lot of people have those spiritual or t types of delusions and beliefs when they go into psychosis. And then, like, Raw Sammy, who's, like, in the middle of an episode, I don't know if you ever checked out her channel.
I did after you said something because I didn't know. Nancy says my sister has accused me of trying to kill her as a child, calls me a demon. Well, it sounds like she's in the middle of her sister, I mean, is in the middle of having having a tough time. Do you know Nancy? She's
Oh,
an
goodness.
psychic. Oh, well, that sounds very confusing. Possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, that's all you can do, right?
Yeah.
But I could imagine if you had a mental illness and you were being having a job like that, how that would severely influence your yeah.
It's so I can't could you imagine, like, you were working as a psychic, but you also had a mental illness? Like, how do you separate like, for me, I was in the beginning of college, I was studying to be a therapist, like my dad, and then once I got diagnosed, I was like, "There's no way I can do this." Like, there's just no way that I can remain healthy and take care of myself while also, like, trying to help other people and just knowing listening to so many details, and
Yeah.
I just knew I couldn't do that.
She's on your sister's on YouTube?
Oh, wow. Moss says, either of you think the neurodivergent bipolar mind. Oh, I didn't get the whole
I
thing.
do. I do. Like, we're more susceptible to, uh
What did the question say? I didn't get the whole thing.
yeah, because it only stays on the screen for, like, a second.
Yeah.
Um, but it
What was
was,
the gist of it?
do we think that, uh she got glitter on her forehead? Nancy, you are so funny. Nancy has jokes sometimes.
Okay.
Um, but,
Here, Moss, can you put it back up again? I'm sorry. I don't think.
I think it was like, are we more influenced by TV and, like, outside I think in general we have a more open mind.
Yeah, I think that's true.
The
Oh,
influence of TV, etcetera.
or just yeah, or maybe influence in general. Um,
I think absolutely.
I think so.
Absolutely. Because one time, there was, like, this horror movie, Hansel and Gretel, or even Hansel and Gretel one time I tied into a delusion. I thought my stepdad and my mom were trying to kill me, that they were gonna kill me, and
You
that
think
I was, like, just really, like, it's just really such a scary place to be. And this one I was watching this one bipolar YouTuber who was explaining it, and she said that she doesn't know how else to explain it, but she had this one delusion where she didn't feel real. And it didn't make sense to me at the time, but as I look back at certain moments in my mania, that would be the only way I could describe it. Like I was part of some simulation or something.
no, that makes sense. And I mean, like, I don't know about you, but I also like I am just very sensitive. So like I can't watch shows or movies that are like either really violent or some kind of like terrible story, like I it stays with me. Like it might not come out in psychosis, but it does like really affect me like just more than what most people seem to be affected. And I have to be very careful. Does that make sense? Like, do you ever feel that way?
Yeah.
You're the one on meds. Well, I'm glad you're doing well, Nancy.
It's you can't you can't force anyone to take meds, and it's sad that I feel like bipolar people, people with schizophrenia and other psychotic illnesses are the hardest to treat. Knowing that you have the my psych
Yeah.
excuse me
Oh,
permanently.
yeah, and I do, because when I decide like, "Oh, no, I can watch this, it's fine, it's not even that bad," it always comes with nightmares, it comes with, like, me thinking about all these whatever I watched for days on end, and it's miserable. So, I know better now.
You're totally right, and that's something that I never really thought about. I've been thinking about it more because, like, been really obsessed with the news because it's been really interesting lately.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, and I tend to do that, and I think about it, and I think, I really get come down on myself because I don't have a lot of responsibilities other than my animals, which are actually quite a bit. Um,
Well, yeah.
some are sleeping on the floor right now, my little
Oh,
kitten. Um, because I'm constantly walking them like 4 times a day because we live like an apartment building, and so I have to walk them around the neighborhood for them to go to the restroom and stuff, but
yeah.
I'm grateful that I get to do a lot of things that other people don't get to do because of the fact that I don't work because I do have mental illness. But when I grew up as a kid, I never wanted a family, I wanted a career, you
Really.
know? And so
That's how I was too. I never thought about having kids or, like, getting married. I don't know why, but
yeah,
I was the same way.
I got that way, and I was became that way at late in my late 30s, but yeah, and then I had an episode, and I was like, "No way in hell could I ever have a child." It's because of the stress level. So, I feel like, if you have a really supportive husband, that's what it would take.
It does. I mean, I mean, I only have 1 child, so, like, I'm not, like, the typical parent, I guess. I feel like almost no one else where I live has, like, just 1. They have, like, 2 or 3 or 4, which I could never I could never do. Um, but where was I going with this? Yeah, like until I got on lithium and like I was on it for a while, I never thought like, oh, that is not something I want to add to my life. It wasn't until I could like feel relatively stable that I even considered it, which I
Yeah.
think is like the way it should be. I mean, like only take on what you can handle and that's okay. Like don't you don't have to do, yeah, like Ma said, never one in marriage or kids. Yeah, exactly. And then Keith said, I couldn't understand how may you live in interesting times really is a curse. It is, these are very interesting times. That's for sure.
When I think about all the scary stuff happening in the world, and I think about, and I think about all the scary like, it's just scary, it's scary, like, we live in Lord of the Flies, and it's becoming like Lord of the Fairies and, like,
Ma,
imaginary
Ma said,
flies.
oh, sorry, how long on lithium before you noticed and wanted stability? Um, Gosh, I've been on lithium for like 17 years, so it's hard for me to remember the beginning. I think it was probably like a handful of months. It was probably like at least 3 months before I really noticed a difference. I noticed it was working, but don't quote me on that because it was a long time ago. But I would say like at the high end, probably 6 months. I don't know. Do you remember, Steph, like how long it took for you to feel good on the the Lamictal?
Well, here's the thing, after every time my psychotic episodes lasted a really long time, so the shame and embarrassment and depression coming out was very lengthy, and so it usually took me a few years after an episode to get back to me, and with the Lamictal, going on the Lamictal, it was much faster, me getting back to feeling like me. You know what I mean? And not just being stuck in my head and feeling like a horrible person for everything I've done in my episodes and stuff. But it was much faster when I started on the Lamictal. But when it wasn't correct, because I've been on 14 medications, 14 different medications. When it's not correct, when it's not working, because they tell you, oh, you're not supposed to feel. Yeah, yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard, and one thing, you know what, one thing I wanted to talk about before I go, I just wanna go off topic and talk about this because I feel like it's been something that I really wanted to talk about. I'll probably make a video on it, but I think like you, just like you're really good about knowing what you have to do for your illness, but then again, you have a kid. I just realized you have a kid, so you have to, you don't really have a choice. But but for
Well,
me, it's really hard for me to I got to accepting my diagnosis. I got past the not knowing I really needed to be sick and stuff, but really changing my lifestyle to where, hey, Steph, you cannot stay up past 10. You need to stop drinking coffee. Like doing those things, I feel bad about myself because I'm not doing those things. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I mean, gosh, none of us are perfect. Like, honestly, and I think I told you this before, the only way I even gave up caffeine was because it was giving me a migraine. It wasn't because of bipolar. It was just because, it was causing me like an immediate problem. Like if
yeah,
I drank 5 sips of coffee, I would get a migraine.
yeah,
So that's why I mean, if it wasn't for that, I would still drink coffee once in a while, because it's hard to give up things that you love. It truly, and I do like staying up late, but that is something I just cannot. And I do stay up late every once in a while, like once in a blue moon, but otherwise, I just if I do it, it's like the way to check myself because I feel so horrible the next
yeah,
day.
yeah,
So,
yeah. That's true.
but if you can
Well,
sleep in, then it's not really that big of an issue for you, maybe. Like maybe that's your sleep routine is to go to bed later and get up later.
yeah, that's what I he's usually okay with that as long as I got the Ring. Have you heard of this?
Oh yeah, I
It
don't do that.
monitors your s
Yeah.
so my husband can check my sleep if
See,
I
I
think
have
is
my husband has like this back issue, so we have a sleep number bed and it gives us like those kind of stats, like about how long you slept and like how good
oh,
your sleep is. It's the same type of thing.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Moss was saying how hypomania is glorified in the media, and I completely agree. We take a lot of shows from Pirate Bay and elsewhere, so we watch a lot of TV and a lot of reality TV, which I'm gonna try and cut out because I like you're saying, all the things that I see on TV do affect me, and it's does make me it's like trigger stacking, right? Like it adds extra level of stress when you have something like that. But I was watching this show, The Dragon's Den, which is like Shark Tank, only Dragon's Den is in the UK.
Okay.
And this girl was on there making her pitch, and she says, oh, I'm bipolar and I use it to my advantage. I think of it like my superpower because who else can stay up 3 nights in a row and work on something? And I was so mad. I was like, oh my god, this chick is promoting like unhealthy behavior and making something devastating and horrible look like a party.
First of all, like at least most people who I know who have bipolar, if you are staying up like because you're manic or you're hypomanic or whatever and you're staying up for 3 days, do you think you'd really be able to concentrate on work? Like, do you think
Yeah,
you'd be like studying or like doing something productive? It's like, no, that's not
yeah.
like your mind is going a mile a minute, probably. Like, you're not, I don't know. That to me doesn't seem right. yeah, when she lives alone.
Normie time. I love that word, normie.
Yeah.
I recently learned that word, normie. I kind of like it
Yeah.
because it sets us apart in a different way. You know,
Right. Yeah.
I
I
don't know.
mean,
I don't know. It gives us power to not being normal. You know what I mean? Like it's. I don't know. I don't know. I don't
but
want to
it's
say
sort of
that.
like a community. It's like a communal
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
term. Yeah. And make sure to get 8 hours of sleep a night, Crystal said. I mean, everybody needs a different amount. I need like 9.
Oh,
I
really?
I need at least 8.5, but 9 is better. But like 8 is not enough. Unfortunately, it's just not. I'll feel
See,
tired all day.
my sleep has so much to do with my diet, like what I'm eating at the time, like, and I was just realizing this morning I was trying to be nicer to myself because I haven't been taking care of myself the last 3 months. I've been overeating and everything else. Had bipolar entrepreneur speak how capitalize and encourage his mania symptoms.
Oh yeah.
That's interesting.
I'd like to watch that.
What is it? Is it a documentary?
It said a TED Talk.
Oh. Oh, yeah, if you could put the link in the chat, that'd be great because then we could watch it later. Because
Or we could find it, I'm sure.
yeah.
But
Yeah, somebody recommended a Stephen Fry documentary that was really good that I watched, that I talked about on a live.
yeah, you talked about it. Is it kinda older? Because I feel like I saw it.
It's really old. A lot of the information was outdated. Um, but there was one particular chunk in there that there was a few parts in there that really show like how dangerous bipolar disorder is. Like that I don't know if you saw it. Well, you should check it out. It's good, but it
I
is
think
very
it
old. There's a lot of
yeah,
outdated
it was, like,
information.
years ago I saw it.
Oh,
So,
you did
I
see it.
I think I'm pretty sure I did, but it was so long ago that I don't really remember. I need to see it again.
But
Uh
there was a mom, and she had both of her kids had bipolar disorder, and she was showing all the pills they were on, and you could just see, like, the level of stress and frustration and entrapment she felt. Like,
wow.
it was almost like she felt like it seemed like she felt like being held hostage to this illness, but at the same time, like, happy her kids had a better life now. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like
I can imagine. I mean, were her kids really young? I mean,
they were teenagers,
they were
2 teenage
teenagers?
boys. I
Okay.
think one was 10 and one was a teenager, 17 or something like that.
10 is pretty
But
young to be diagnosed, but I mean, it's not unheard of, you know?
yeah, so many people, so many more people. I've been watching these shows have been coming up in my YouTube feed called Born Different. And so I've been realizing just how, like, I've been trying to focus on the positive and realize just how lucky, like, I am to be able to, while I have this illness, a lot like diabetes, to be positive about it. At least I have the medication, I can function. I do think that one thing that bipolar disorder gives you is a completely different perspective on life. And a lot of us, when we do get help, seek to grow emotionally and intellectually where others don't. Like a lot of us suffer so
Really true.
much that and we have to take medication to deal with our illness. So I feel like we're more susceptible to go beyond that and like read self-help books and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
But well, at least that's what I've experienced. I don't know if I would be this way if I hadn't um yeah, it's been a process. It's been a process for me. I feel like you're really lucky because you so early you found you got your diagnosis so early.
Well, I did, but then the next 10 years were like hell
Oh,
because
because you were on the wrong medications.
yeah. So, well, it was like maybe 9 years, but um I didn't know. And I mean, I try not to be too hard on myself because I didn't know that the medication wasn't helping, if that makes sense. Like, I thought, like, this is as good as it gets kind of
Yeah.
thing, and it was
Yeah.
not good, it was not good at all, but I just had no idea that I could have a better life and that the medication could be part of the problem. And I tried like 3 or 4 different psychiatrists and no one took me off that medication. Like, no one ever said, "Maybe this is not good for you." They just kept, like, adding things. They would, like, add different all different things. They added things like antidepressants, which, as we know, like, for bipolar 1, you're probably gonna go into mania. They added Xanax, they added, like, sleep aids and things, but they never took me off it. And the only way I got off it is I finally, like, stopped taking it, which, like, I am not advocating for people to stop taking their medication, but I was just so miserable that I finally stopped taking it. And then, of course, eventually I started going into mania again because I was off meds. And I found a psychiatrist just on my own. I found somebody and they were like, "You should not be on that medication. Like, I agree with you," basically, for stopping it. And that's when I
Yeah.
got on lithium. But so, like, I did get diagnosed extremely early, like right after my first manic episode, but then I wasn't receiving good help for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just sort of like, I someone should have noticed. Like, it shouldn't have had
Yeah.
to be me to notice, like,
Yeah. I
but
don't understand why they do that. Like, if one medication isn't working, change it instead of adding multiple medications. I don't know why they do that. They say that the average person with bipolar disorder is on 7 different it's either 6 or 7 different medications
wow.
concurrently. I'm on 2 right now, but normally I'm on just Lamictal, but I'm on Geodon because, as you know, Freddie was killed. My
Yeah.
dog was killed in front of me. Um,
Do you guys
yes.
Abdul?
Yes.
Yes. I never knew it was religious, but when you're having delusions and things about the devil and stuff, yeah, it's
Crystal was diagnosed at 49, she said.
wow.
That's that's a long time. What was so frustrating for me was when I got on medication, I was like, "Holy shit, I did not have to suffer all those years."
It's frustrating. It can be, I don't know. It's weird. I never looked back and
Thank
uh,
you, Moss.
I never really looked back and thought, like, why wasn't I on this sooner? I don't know why. I guess I was just so ready to move forward. But yeah, those years should not have, for you and I, like, those years should not have happened.
I'm happy that they know so much more about bipolar disorder now than they did before. Like, now they can see brain changes on a brain scan. And, maybe one day there will be a cure, you know? One thing that I tend to get a little sad about is when I went to college, I studied like a million different things because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I did take nutrition. And at the time, Dr. Atkins was really popular, and he was a
Right.
high protein, high fat, no carb, new diet that everyone was trying, which was successful. But it was successful for people because what it does is it puts your body in shock. And so your body starts amping up and burning calories really fast because it doesn't break down protein as quickly and as efficiently as it does carbs.
Hmm.
And then he died of a heart attack because of all the cholesterol and everything else that he was eating.
Oh, wow.
A lot of people, one thing that's frustrating for me is bipolar disorder by other people is not looked at like any other illness. It's a brain disorder, it's a brain disease, but people look at it like, oh, well, you can handle it. Just find a different way. Medication is not the answer. That's always
Right.
the first response. Like, you don't tell a diabetic, "Hey, I know you're diabetic, but I think if you just try the keto diet, you'll be perfect." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, if somebody with diabetes did lose weight, if they had type 2, if they lose weight, oftentimes it will be cured if it's then you can go into remission from diabetes.
Right. Yeah.
Um, But
But it's not, we don't have the type 2, if we're making an analogy.
yeah,
Bipolar is not analogous to type 2 diabetes, it's analogous to type 1 diabetes that you're born with that you cannot do anything to
yeah,
get rid of. I mean, I know, I people don't understand because I think somehow they're trying to lump bipolar in with, like, oh, like, not someone has an anxiety disorder, but just like regular anxiety or like being sad or something. Like, it's like, this is not what we're going through. Like, do a little bit of research and you it's plain to see, that this is a brain disorder.
yeah. So I get a lot of people on my channel, like somebody even recently, and it's triggering for me because I lived so many years not on medication, and my parents, it's not really their fault. They, the first time I was medicated was a horrible, horrible experience. Nobody really knew the same stuff about bipolar disorder back then. There wasn't as much information, and that generation was very anti.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
It's getting better, but there are still, certain cultures where people just don't believe in mental illness at all, um, which is sad. Um,
Scary. Yeah. There is so little understanding.
yeah,
And that's what my parents, like, especially my mom, will say, like, "Oh, this is so much better than, when I was growing up, like, people there's an awareness about mental illness and mental health." And I'm like, "There is, but it's nowhere near where it should be, like, not even close." Like, yes, it is better and it's good to acknowledge that, but I mean, when I talk about having bipolar disorder, like, some of the reactions I get are not friendly or good, like,
yeah.
it's really, there
There's
is
always
still such
that
a stigma. There is, you know
there's always that look someone gives you when you tell them, like someone you don't know or you just met and you tell them, like,
yeah.
there's usually, like, some kind of, like, reaction that I notice, and
Or it's a
some
lot like,
it's either, "Oh,
you don't seem like you
wow."
have that."
Wait, what?
Like, a lot of people will say to me, like, "Oh, you don't look like you have bipolar. You don't act like you have bipolar." And I'm like, "Actually, I do." you know, but maybe you don't see me during the, extreme symptom times.
Yeah, because people have used bipolar disorder as an adjective to explain someone having erratic behavior.
Right.
And so a lot of people's perception of, and then you'll hear someone say, "Oh, I work with this lady and she for sure has mental illness." Sometimes people are just assholes, you know what I mean? Like,
Right. I mean, you can be an asshole and not have a that's very
yeah,
possible.
yeah,
Um, but, like, have I been an asshole when I was, like, during an episode? Yes. Have I been an asshole outside of an episode? Yes. You know?
yeah.
It's not, like, contingent upon me having symptoms.
I know, right?
It
Would it be more entertaining for you if I was off the rails type
Would
thing?
it be easier for you to believe I have it if,
Yeah.
like, having psychosis and delusions?
And then another thing people say is they'll say, "Oh, well, if you're bipolar, how did you graduate college? Like, how can you do that if you're bipolar? If you're bipolar, how can you do that? How can you, how can you drive a car if you, okay?" Because a lot of people are actually on disability for bipolar disorder. In fact, the majority of people on disability are on disability for mental health issues. Is
Yeah,
what I read
I
somewhere
heard that.
recently. And Athena, that I did a very unorganized live with before, um, uh,
No, I love those lives. Those are, like, the
really?
best. They're so fun and, like, everything's going on. I don't know.
I just I feel like it's so all over the place. I'm like, I want to be helpful to people. I don't want to, like, waste it because I don't watch a lot. Yeah, see, it's like I probably would be on disability for mental illness if I had reapplied and not used some ridiculous law firm that advertises on TV because they
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 would
were
not.
awful. Yeah,
Oh,
it was a horrible experience. This guy named Bill Latour, don't ever, ever use that. I think the best thing to do is either fill out the paperwork yourself and just keep doing it. But I was so humiliated and felt so like they're like, well, they said they don't do it based on whether you can do your old job, right? So like they agreed there's no way I can do my old job. It would be too stressful. But they're like, "Well, you could be a barista." And I'm like, "Who are you to determine how stressful a barista is to my old job?" You know, you know like I sat at my computer on my ass looking at TMZ and other websites majority of the time at my old job. Yes, it was very stressful, but typically for me, the most stressful part, yeah, see, if you have a good person do it for you, then
well,
you're
yeah. Maybe you should try again because honestly, like my job, I'm also sorry. I'm on my computer. I don't deal with the public. Being a barista, like just thinking about it makes me like nervous and anxious, like having to like talk to people all day.
yeah.
like
Yeah, that's the stressful part, and especially now that I've had so many episodes and I feel like if I had been diagnosed sooner, it would be a lot easier because I wouldn't have the PTSD on the top of it because the PTSD causes a lot
yeah.
of rage, and I never really experienced rage with bipolar disorder before. So I know that's where it's coming from. Um, because I do when and it's under it's like it goes up and down. Like when I get really stressed in my life, then the PTSD and the nightmares come. If anything else happens that's stressful, all
Yeah.
that stuff comes up. But if I'm doing okay, then it kind of isn't really as present.
And then the
As-
sleep is affected. Yeah, when I don't
yeah,
sleep, I talk a bunch of nonsense. I mean, when I
yeah,
don't get enough sleep, if I get like an hour less than I need, that very day, I mean, I am like off the entire day. And it only takes like 2 or 3 nights like that before I could possibly go into hypomania. So, like, there's a very fine
yeah,
line
yeah.
between, like, not enough sleep and getting enough, but, I don't know.
It's so brief too. It's so brief that period of time. Like for me, it's less than 6 hours, 3 nights in a row, and I'm going to be manic. No matter what. There's no way I'll be
Oh,
able to
yeah.
do that. So
Well,
if
I'll be
I
hypomanic. I might not be manic
yeah,
yet, but I'll be hypomanic for sure.
yeah, yeah, um, and yeah, hypomanic. But I don't know if, like I do feel like sometimes you can sleep it off. Do you
Yeah. Treating yeah, that were hidden by the bipolar.
yeah, yeah. Oh, it was talking about PTSD and stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because if the PTSD starts affecting your sleep, you get nightmares. I mean,
Yeah,
I had PTSD from things earlier on in my life, and like 3 years ago, it became like during COVID for some reason, it became really bad for me. And yeah, I mean, it was affecting my sleep big time. And I went into hypomania and then I went into depression. I mean, it all like sort of piggybacks off each other.
so I just found out something exciting.
What?
Um There is a hospital in Long Beach that I can voluntarily commit myself to, and as long as there's a bed, I can go there. They only take people voluntarily. But I don't understand the whole voluntarily commit yourself to the hospital because anytime I've like volunteered, well, I've only done it once, but when you go in and say I'm feeling unsafe, they're going to be like, "Okay, you can't leave." So,
So it
you know,
becomes like
yeah,
involuntary.
it
Yeah.
becomes mandatory. If you have like in some if you have like any sort of mental illness in the past or if you've experienced anything like that in the past and you go in and tell them symptoms they can hold mandatory hold you. And did they keep you voluntarily, like could you actually leave? Because that part confuses me, But they told me this place is only voluntary, so I'm pretty excited because my husband said you get your own room and you have your own TV in your own room, and I'm like, oh wow. He's like, yeah, you don't have to go all the way to Westwood because there's a really nice UCLA in and is in Westwood, which is basically a city in Los Angeles. Um, they have a really nice facility because they're a teaching hospital. So all the psychiatrists there are learning from other psychiatrists. Leave
Leave
unless
unless.
deemed unsafe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the only I've been able to do outpatient like during the day, like the 9 to 2. Have you ever done that?
No.
Intensive outpatient? So
I
they
know
haven't
people, yeah, I mean, I know what it is because, but I've never done it.
so those programs I really if it wasn't so far, I'd probably go more. But those programs I like because you do meet other people with bipolar disorder. And I know wasn't until I started going to group counseling that I realized how important it is to be around other people that are like you that are struggling like you. Like you've been
Right.
involved with NAMI quite a bit, right?
Yeah. Well, a little bit, but like you're around, well, you're not really around them because it's like all on Zoom still since COVID, but yeah, you meet a lot of people, but they're not all people who have bipolar, like it could be anything. They could have depression, anxiety, whatever, schizophrenia. But then you end up speaking usually to high school students together, and like it's always you and another speaker, you go together. So she said she has a friend who did outpatient, intensive outpatient, and it helped. Yeah, I have a friend who did it too, and she loved it. But yeah, so that is more like, I think it definitely helps me. Like it makes me, it's one of those things where you're sort of like giving your highlight reel, but you're also saying like I've gone through hard times, but I've sort of like I've still made a life for myself kind of thing. And it's one of those things like you would never talk about otherwise. Like you're never going
Yes.
to like talk to people about this stuff and like say like, "Oh, I'm so proud of myself," for doing
Yeah.
this. But
Yeah.
it sort of forces you to do that, and it is good. I mean, I get a lot out of it, but I don't, other than like on especially Instagram is where I know a lot of people who have bipolar, and I think it's like a wonderful community, but it's not in person. It's not in
There's a
person.
lot of Instagram accounts that I make me feel really there's a lot of bipolar Instagram accounts where people are really open with their feelings and like I love it. I love it because it
It's
makes me
great.
yeah, and then you look at other people and you're like, "Wow, they're really like doing." Do either of you find groups can lead to symptoms?
We'll see. I hate to say this, but like the one time I did go to like a support group, this is when it was like shortly after I started lithium, so it was a long time ago. Um, it was triggering for me, and I talked to my psychiatrist about it. It was such a large group, first of all, and all the people there, like, it was just, like, no one was doing well in that group, at that time, at least, and it was so many people, and I was just like, "Wow, this," it just, like, really, like, kinda took a toll on me, and my psychiatrist kinda, like, agreed with me and said I probably shouldn't go, and I was like, I could see, like, going if I was, like, struggling at the time. I think that would probably be better for me.
Yeah, I've gone a few times and it really helped a couple of times that I went. But the last time I went because there's all different levels of functioning at the intensive outpatient program. There's people
Oh,
that are living in residential who go to group every day and like that's their routine. They have a severe mental illness and that they're not really functioning at a high level. And then, but so the last time I went, there were fewer higher functioning people, which normally which I like. It's not I'm very humbled by it. But the last time I went to group, it was a little bit overwhelming because there were people experiencing severe symptoms that they were talking about. Like, I don't know
yeah.
if you heard me say, but there was the guy who had to give his dog away because voices were telling him to hurt his dog.
Yeah, I did
Uh,
hear that. This was
um,
sort of how that group was that I went to, and it was, and there were a lot of people there who were like, you know, resistant, like med resistant, like they hadn't found any med to ever work, and it was just super sad. And I felt for these people, but I also felt like, I get so like involved because, like I said,
yeah,
so sensitive that like I just felt like I was taking it on in some way, and it was
yeah.
not great for me. Hi,
Hi,
Caroline.
Caroline. Um, yeah, I feel like like you said, it can go either way,
Yeah.
but it's good to have that resource, you
I think
know?
it's great to have the option, and I was glad I tried it, and I'm not saying I wouldn't try it again. I just think at that time in my life, it wasn't great for me. At that time, I wasn't doing, kind of as well as I am now, but I was like sort of on the cusp of doing better.
Mhm.
And it just sort of like made me feel like, oh, I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm not going to be able to do it. Like, I'm going to, you know, keep having all these hard times, which, there's always going to be some hard times, but
Yeah, that's one of the things that sucks about being bipolar is having to put limitations on your life because you have to know what you can and can't handle. Like you said, sometimes you just wanna live a little
yeah.
and not have to abide by, like I'm a night owl, like, I liked staying up at night, but yeah, sometimes it gets exhausting. Um, but I'm really happy to have a community. I'm super happy to have YouTube too because it makes me feel like I have some kinda control over my illness.
No, I love it. I love your channel. I'm just like,
I love your
I
channel
I
too.
know my channel is, like, so different from yours, but that's what I love. Like, I love that everyone's sorta, like, doing their own thing, and it's like we're getting all these different stories and, like, takes on things, and I don't know. I like how you're starting to do all these lives now, like, especially, the ones you've already done, I think are really fun. Um, I don't know. I just, like, appreciate anyone who is just willing to put themselves out there and talk about things. I think, you know we can only benefit from having more of that.
And some of you guys, like, some of the comments and stories that people have told me, like, sometimes I'm just like, oh, and I cry at some of the comments because 'cause I'm
I
like, "Oh my
know.
gosh." Like, what people are going through, and even that can be triggering too.
Yeah.
Um, Seeing too many or a really, like sometimes I'll get, like, a really lengthy comment, and then I'll be like, "Oh god, what do I say to this person?" Like, like, how do
I
I give
feel
them the
the same
best
way.
answer,
I
you
feel the
know?
same way, and sometimes I'll, like, take extra time, wait until the next day because I'm just, like, have to collect my thoughts, like,
Yeah.
what to
Yeah.
say back, but, and then once in a while, I'll get, like, something that's inappropriate or I mean, luckily, not too many of those, but, no, I don't know. It's been good for me. I think everyone's different. Some people with bipolar maybe would not benefit from like talking so openly. I don't know. But for me, I waited a really long time to do it. Um yeah, and getting validation.
Yeah.
But
That
once I waited until I really felt ready and then I did it and it's only been a few years, but it feels like I've been doing this for so long and it's it's really brought like more stability to my bipolar, honestly.
and because in my channel, because I share so much about my life and because I talk so much on there, it's really allowed me to look at myself, um, like, you know, more closely.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, because when you're taping yourself and you have to watch
Yeah.
it back, and like some of my older videos, I'm just like, what? Why did I even say that? Like, I don't even believe that anymore. Like, what?
Yeah,
Like little things are embarrassing.
yeah, I have 200 videos with less than, like, 100 views, I think. Less than maybe even less than 50. But I don't wanna delete them because I don't wanna go back and have to watch it again and be like, so I think one day what I'll do is, like, maybe take some of those because the topics are good, it's just, like,
It
maybe
was
the way I'm
probably, like, old. It was probably, like, when you first started out.
yeah,
So,
yeah, because when
it's
I
a
first
good
started
topic, but no one really saw it. I have
e
videos like that.
yeah, yeah, um, but also, like, I had to delete a video one time because I watched it over and I was like, "Oh my god," and then I was like the only way I even knew that because a lot of times I don't edit them, and then I'll play it back and be like, "Holy crap." Um, but yeah, not a really relevant topic at all, but, I'm happy we did this. I'm seeing where, like, my husband's getting home right now, and I have to walk the dogs.
Oh, no,
Um,
I should go back to work anyway. I've
yeah, but
stayed away too long.
this has been so fun. It's so cool to actually talk to you and, like, talk to another YouTuber and somebody else that has bipolar disorder and somebody that, the playbacks.
The
Oh,
playbacks,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, seeing
Some of the
yourself
playbacks are
on
good, but
e
some
yeah.
no, it's been so nice to talk to you. I don't know, I feel like I know there has to be a lot more bipolar YouTubers on there, but like I don't find that many. But it's also the same thing where like you probably see on Instagram where like you start talking to someone, you become friends with someone, and then sometimes like one day they just disappear. And you're like, oh
Oh,
my God, like is this person in an episode? Like,
yeah,
and you worry, but there's nothing.
yeah.
So I know you won't disappear because you have all of your you
Yeah,
have your
you'll
YouTube channel.
yeah, you'll know if I disappear. But, but now that there's, like, a comment section where you can just leave a post, it's easier for me to just post and say, "Hey, guys, I'm checking out for a little bit."
Yeah.
But on that note, I just wanna say real quick because we do both have to go soon, I wanna
Mm.
say to those of you that I have made friends with and that we chat on Instagram, we'll chat for days and then you'll just disappear. Like Jess was saying, I worry and wonder like if something bad happens. Some of you will leave um not
Sometimes
to
people
call you
say
out,
they're
but
gonna go. Yeah, like, they'll say, like, "I'm taking a break," or whatever, but sometimes you don't know what's going to happen. Like, there are a few people that I'm, like, consistently worried about, and I've tried contacting, like, to no avail, but, yeah, I mean, that's sort of, like, the nature of it,
yeah,
sadly.
yeah. Okay, well next time can we do a live on your channel?
Yes, I will host next time.
Okay, that would be so cool. And I'll make
Great.
the thumbnail.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
yeah, I'm coming. Just at the door wanting me to go for a walk. But thank
Alright.
you guys. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Moss. Thank you guys. Who else was there?
Thank you,
Was it
Keith.
Carol?
Keith was here.
Caroline. Caroline was there too.
Caroline.
Yes. Thank you, all of you guys, for being here and joining us. And hopefully, we'll see you soon on Jess's channel.
Yes. See you soon.
All
Thanks for
right.
coming.
Bye. Thanks, Jess.
Bye.
Bye.